Now with the recent release of the new Devil May Cry anime, I began to realize something. When it comes to adapting games into anime, Netflix doesn't miss. And with shows like Castlevania, Cyberpunk Edgerunners, and the new release of the Devil May Cry anime, Netflix's catalog of video game adapted animes is truly second to none. Anyways, for the rest of the video, I'm just gonna glaze and go over the animes for those who have or haven't watched them yet. Firstly, we got the Devil May Cry anime. So set between the events of the first and second Devil May Cry games, the anime follows Dante as he battles to prevent a demonic invasion orchestrated by the White Rabbit. But at the same time, he's beefing with Darkcom, a secretive government agency led by the vice president known as William Baines. And if you Dante as a huge threat, as not only is he half human, half demon, he also holds the key to the veil that separates the demon world from the human world. As the series progresses, a lot of things are revealed as we learn about the White Rabbit's origin story as he's actually a human, and we also learn that Dante's having a hard time grasping the fact that he may be half demon. Now in my opinion, I believe this is one of, if not the best game to anime adaptations we're going to see in a while. Proof of this comes from the White Rabbit, as he's not a main story villain at all, and he actually derives from a manga that barely anyone read or knew about until the anime. And it turns out that no one really knew what to do with him, but Netflix making him a human and having a compelling backstory is really something we gotta applaud them for. But with every good show also comes its very good flaws as well. To start off is that Dante is made a lot weaker than he is in the games, as if it was the game version of the anime, the show would have been done within, I would say, 2-3 episodes. Plus his power inconsistencies and him losing to certain people, this doesn't really make sense at all, and I know it's aggravated a lot of the DMC hardcore lovers, but hey man, it's just a show, so I don't really know what else to say. There's also the fact that on Twitter everyone's mad that Lady was saying the F word a lot and was kind of way more of an asshole than she really is, but she looked bad to me, so I don't really care. Next up, we got the infamous show Cyberpunk Edgerunners. So Cyberpunk Edgerunners ran in 2022 for 10 episodes and was a prequel to the popular video game Cyberpunk 2077. The main character, David Martinez, begins as an academically gifted student trying to escape the constraints of the gritty city he lives in. But after a tragic loss of his mother and him basically becoming homeless, he begins to fall into the world of mercenaries and cybernetic enhancements. As whilst David's story progresses, we begin to realize how crazy cybernetic enhancements can really affect the body, and how many people really die to the cyberpsychosis that it causes. With cyberpsychosis being the frenzy that one goes into after too many cybernetic enhancements end up frying your brain. But back to the story though, David's evolution from a hopeful student into a hardened mercenary, as I mentioned earlier, is extremely important to the series. As unbeknownst to him, this mercenary life ends up giving him the ability to experience a family once again after the loss of his mother, with him not just learning about family but also loss, trust, and the ability to love somebody. In terms of animation though, I can say that Netflix for sure is big on when it comes to the project, as the vibrant colors that encapsulate a feeling of a new age and new technology type of city, plus the amazing fight scenes, was just peak cinema. Music wise, the soundtrack made it feel as though you were with David as he went through each process in life, and because of that, it made the show just even more better than it already was. Well, and by the way, I know this is a huge spoiler, and for those who haven't watched it, just mute this part out, but David should not have died at the end, chat. I truly believe he should have been kept alive somehow or something, bro. That just broke my heart entirely. Anyways, for our last show, we got the huge Netflix hitter Castlevania. So the story of Castlevania begins with the tragic end of Lisa Tepes, whose execution by the Church of Alleged Witchcraft sets Dracula on a path of destruction against humanity, with his act of vengeance leading into the terror around the whole world, drawing in characters like Trevor Belmont, Sypha Belnice, and Alucard, our main characters, with each character having their own background or their own reason to either hate Dracula or want to be able to change the world. Starting off with Trevor Belmont, he's initially portrayed as a drunken and disillusioned warrior who is someone who basically has no idea of what he wants to do in life. But it turns out he's actually the last surviving member of the Belmont family, which is a family known for their monster slaying tactics and being able to slay vampires and demons for the past hundreds of years. But due to the loss of family and having a rough childhood, he just drowns out his sorrows in a bottle of liquor. But his character development and going from a Homer Simpson drunk type of person into someone who realizes his destiny and understands how to save people and why he should save people is something pretty beautiful in the show. Another character to touch on is Dracula's own son, Alucard. Due to being both half human and half vampire, he felt as though he could never really encapsulate either one of the races and was kind of ostracized from both of them. And he only felt like he was truly loved by his mother. And because of this, he tried to tell his dad that he was doing a bit too much trying to commit genocide against all humans. But instead, his dad just got in a big fight with him and sealed him away for a bit, which then leads to him being unsealed by Trevor and Sypha and becoming the last member of the trio. Afterwards, they end up being his dad, but that's a whole different thing for a whole nother day. Lastly, we have to talk about Dracula himself. After the death of his wife, the idea of genocide and killing all humans was the only thing that stayed on his mind. But the problem is that human blood is basically the only good food that vampires actually prefer to eat. And because of that, it led to some disputes within the vampire army and him almost being dethroned, but he stood on business, of course. As the show progresses, you begin to realize that Dracula doesn't really hate humans. He actually just has a lot of self-pity for himself, as he really sees no more point in living after his wife died. Him going hard on his mission to kill all humans is actually just another way for him to just go out in flames like a true hero to himself, I guess. After the final battle of him against his son, Trevor, and Sypha, he begins to realize that his wife wouldn't want him doing this to his own son, their own creation and the only thing left of her in this world. So he just concedes and lets them kill him, as he realizes the only way to really get back to his wife. Now, even though it seems as though Dracula gets his final ending right there, it turns out in the sequel show known as Castlevania Nocturne, at the end of it, hell ended up opening up again, and somehow Dracula and his wife end up escaping hell, and they end up in some remote location and decide to just live there together forever. Now, is this a weird ending and really makes no sense at all? Yes, but we love it, so it doesn't really matter. But just for a little synopsis, as you can see, yeah, the animation and the soundtrack in this show is amazing, and I definitely suggest you guys should go watch it and all the other shows I just mentioned. Anyways, y'all, I guess this is the end of the video, and hope you guys enjoy your day. I've been blessed, and I hope you guys are blessed as well. Alright, y'all.
Damn, shorty, I loving the stoop. Touching my mic, she don't know what to do. She keep asking questions like Family Feud. I can't take it. Shorty bad, I can't handle one basic. Treat the stress like a wood, I'm gon' face it. When the guys at the spot is complete.